Hello, friends. Welcome in for episode 8 of Vol Club Confidential. I'm your host, Austin Price of VolQuest.com. Have an exciting show for you tonight. Olivier Nkamhoua will join us tonight on Vol Club Confidential. But before we get to him, we're going to bring in Brandon Spurlock of Spire. Brandon, we had the big signing day celebration on Wednesday night. A great event. Got to hear from Coach Heupel. Those at the event got to have a nice meet and greet with the early enrollees and kind of get a feel for those new look Vols.
Yeah, it was cool to bring an event like that back and to do something for the first time where we had the signees actually in attendance. We've done those for years, at various places where, we talk about it, but to have them in the room and to get people to welcome them to Rocky Top the right way for the first time and kind of let them know what Vol Nation is about. That's pretty cool for our members and for some of our non-members to kind of get a first look at kind of how we do things.
How much do you think an event like that can help you with those non-members? Because they kind of get to see some of that, you peel back the curtain a little bit. You see the wizard, instead of just the big face up there, you see the wizard behind the curtain. When you can peel back the curtain, how big is that for people that aren't invested currently with the volunteer club?
Yeah, I think talking about impact is one thing, but when you can see it, see them and see the people that we're benefiting, and NIL has presented so many unique opportunities here, and so to look at this class, coming in and think about the future, and to see that and to talk to them, and then kind of break it down and humanize it, and talk to them as a person, and start to see that, because that's really what NIL has done, has given us an opportunity to showcase the skill set and the talents of young men and women. And so, to get them started out early on doing that and to have the fans see that and not just read about it or hear us talking about it is pretty special, I think.
Christmas coming up on Sunday. Team heads down to the Orange Bowl. I know you all have some events that are starting to get planned out and ironed out down there in South Florida.
Yeah, we'll be in touch with our members, be on the lookout for that. We're putting some things together, kind of some last-minute touches on what we're doing, and looking at the practice schedule with the football team. So hopefully have some pretty cool, unique surprises coming very shortly, and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. So.
All right, Brandon. Appreciate the update. Now let's head to the main attraction of the show, Olivier Nkamhoua. Olivier, when you were coming out of high school, what made Tennessee the right fit for you?
So I came here on my visit, and I had already been to a couple of schools, and I just based on that, I just had interactions with the different coaches, and I felt like when I came here and I spoke to Coach Barnes, some of the other coaches, it was just kind of different. The things we spoke of connected to me and what I wanted to do with my college experience. My main focus, was to just come in knowing that I'm going to have to get a lot better. Like, I wanted to play a lot, obviously, but I wanted to keep getting better. I wanted to be in a place that I knew our focus was work. And just from seeing what they did, because I came on my visit, they showed me kind of what kind of vitamins they do and what kind of little things they do on the side. I felt like it would be a place where I could stay in the gym and somebody would be there with me if I needed them. I could go in there on my own at night, or I could come in and work with a coach or manager or GA. And I just kind of didn't feel the exact same connection with other schools.
When you go back, you look at today's athletes and everybody, the it thing to do is to jump in the portal. Like, you fail a math test, you jump in the portal. Your girlfriend breaks up with you, you jump in the portal. The coach, yells at you funny, you jump in the portal. You're kind of old school, like you came in and you just kind of went to work and, kind of just kept improving. And, do you kind of look at yourself that way? Like, all these other guys can do what they're doing, but I'm going to just kind of keep my head down and go to work.
Yeah, well, I feel very strongly about things. And when I came in, Coach gave me chances to play. So then after my freshman year, I was like, okay, I just have to come in and perform and practice harder and, prove myself. And that year I didn't get as many chances. But both those years, and something I feel like a lot of people forget about college, is if you have older guys in front of you, it's not much you can do about it. Like, you can be a 5-star coming in, or you can be somebody that's just like perfect for the position, or maybe there is nobody ahead of you, and then you'll play as a freshman. But most freshmen, which I was, just like any other freshman, you come in and it's 2 guys, 3 guys older than you, and those guys for me were Eve and Folky. They were both juniors. And they both had great years my freshman year, and then they both came back for my sophomore year. But after my sophomore year, I thought to myself, if I wanted to leave, it didn't make any sense because, first of all, I was working. Coach was giving me chances, whether they were big chances or small chances. And then after my sophomore year, I talked to the staff and I asked them, do I have a place here? And they said, yeah. So I'm like, I can't leave when they said as long as I work, I have a spot. So then after my sophomore year, obviously, Eve graduated and left. Folky did come back, but once Eve left, it was like now there's nobody older and definitely not better than me anymore on the team. So I'm going to take his spot, and I waited my turn, and I got my shot. And it's just how I saw it, and I went year by year.
The fact you got injured in high school, I think probably stunted your recruitment a little bit, and then you got injured last year. What did you learn from those two experiences that made you better and maybe gave you a different perspective?
From the one in high school, the main thing I learned was really patience, just to have to learn to wait for things and wait for my time to come and learn to watch the game a little more and just learn to do something every day without seeing results. It's something that really taught me patience, like rehab, just going in, doing things over and over and over again. You're doing the same things. It's tough. And then last year, more from what I learned is just to deal with the ups and downs. At first, it was just patience. I thought to myself, junior year of high school, I'm like, I'm a heel, and I'm just going to make sure it never happens again. And then last year, it happened again, and my season was over in the middle of it instead of before it. It was very weird. But I just thought to myself, I got to get through this, and I'm going to be back. It's life. I have ups and downs. I just have to make sure I heal this right. My focus shifted completely, and I kind of just grew as a person a little bit, and for this year, just being able to deal with ups and downs, and even over the summer when I was playing back home, just to deal with if you have a bad game or if you have a bad week or if you have a bad day, it don't really matter. You just got to keep going, and then there's never a hole that you can dig yourself in.
You talk about going back home, playing this summer. What did you learn from that experience, and how much did you kind of get that opportunity afforded to you? How much did that kind of, I guess, give you joy to be able to go home and play in front of family and your mom, that type of thing?
Yeah, it was great. Last year I went also for a little bit, but it was COVID year, so everything was kind of off. But this year it was a full summer. I got to experience a full summer of being home. Also got to go to Africa in the middle of the summer, to Rwanda.
With all leaders.
Yeah, with all leaders, which was really dope. But I got to spend a full summer at home. It was my first time that my mom had seen me play pretty much since I left Finland, because freshman year she came to watch my game against Memphis, but it was freshman year. I didn't play a lot. Sophomore year, COVID. And then junior year, just as she was about to come, I got hurt. So that was the first time she had pretty much actually seen me play full games since, in person, since I was in Finland when I was 16, 17 years old. And I had some really good games. I had some really good games against Berlin when we were at home, and then I got to play with Lauri Markkanen, which was really dope. That's when you really see how many levels. That's when I first really saw it. I've seen NBA players on TV and everything, but that's my first time playing against one at practice, and playing with one in the game. At least one of those more, guys who have a career, guys who've been doing it for a while now. I think he's in his 7th year, and he's averaging 20 8 on Utah Jazz, so I think that's just incredible.
How different is that style?
It's crazy because I feel like NBA guys, most of them, especially the really the ones that you see on TV, that whose names are talked about, I feel like they can play anywhere. It's because in Europe he couldn't, the way European basketball is so different from college, yes, and I feel like NBA basketball is so different from college too. But when I was playing with him, he knew where he could get his shots, and it didn't matter how everybody else was playing. He would just react and see where they were at and then make sure he could get to his spots.
You're from Finland. Your mom still lives in Finland. Your dad lives in Maryland. Is that right?
Yep.
How much, do you get to talk to your mom? I mean, Zakiah, we had him on last week, and he talked about, him having his mom around the corner. That's not the same for you. So how much do you get to, do you FaceTime a lot? How do you kind of keep that relationship fresh?
So with my mom, we text a lot, and we try to do our best to FaceTime. The time difference is 7 hours. So it's kind of, one of us is usually doing something or the other is kind of asleep. But Sundays is the day that we try to call each other and talk to each other. But other than that, we try to keep texting just because, you can respond to text in 2 seconds. It's easy. With my dad, we call occasionally. And he does a really good job of, because he's still in Maryland. The guy likes to drive. So he'll drive here all the time for games. And then he came to New York. And they took the chance and took a family Thanksgiving vacation to the Bahamas when we went there. So he does a good job, and I get to see him a lot. And with him comes my little sister and my stepmom. My little sister, both of them are really kind of my favorite people on the planet right now. The one that my dad comes with is the younger one, so she's just a big ball of energy. But yeah, I call. And luckily, my sister back home in Finland, my brother, like my sister's so young, so it's not a big problem for her because she's so focused on just like friends around her.
Yep.
But then whenever we see each other, it's obviously great. And with my brother, he's an adult, so he's living his own life and he's taking care of his own things. But with my mom, we just stay in touch.
Take Tennessee fans through Finland. What's the best part of your home country, and how many languages can you speak?
Well, languages I speak 2. English and Finnish. I was supposed to learn how to speak Swedish in school, like kind of how Spanish is here. So you take that how you feel. And then I spoke French when I was very little, but I completely forgot how to speak French, which is kind of embarrassing, but that happened. And Finland, depending on when you're there, like over the summer for June, July, maybe even August, it could be like LA summer. So it's just almost perfect weather. Like not too hot, not too cold. Like certain places you can go and it'll be really hot. But never like Finland really hot is like it's like 90 degrees. So not like 100 or something. And 90 isn't really bad. Like if 90 is your hottest day and it's not super humid, like it's like kind of cool, I think that's pretty good. And then you have that for about 2 months if you're lucky, 3 months if you're really lucky, or a month. But after that, fall, the leaves drop pretty fast, and by November, you might be seeing a lot of snow.
You a big snow guy?
I am for a week or 2.
And then it becomes like, okay.
And the problem with Finland is once that snow hits in, like it's first a little bit, then it might be really heavy storms, and then it might go away a little bit. And then by the time January hits, it'll probably be just a lot of snow everywhere. Like the closer we get to January, we'd never not have a white Christmas. And then February is still like that. March probably still like that. April is when it gets tricky. April is when it gets tricky because the snow starts melting, but it's still cold enough that it's really only the sunshine that's melting, and then it'll rain, and then it'll turn into slush, and then it might snow again, and then the snow and slush mixes, and it's just thicker slush. And then it might melt some more, and it's just like gray stuff everywhere because it was so much snow. And the trucks kind of clean up the driving roads, but because so many people use public transport,
yep,
you're going to be on your feet. And it's slush everywhere. It's bad. I used to not like that part of the year at all.
Say something in Finnish. Can you sing Rocky Top in Finnish?
No, it wouldn't. It would just be Rocky Top.
Give me an average sentence in Finnish.
Okay. What would you like me to say?
I have to go to the store.
Mun pitää mennä kauppaan.
Not sure I can repeat that. I did ask Sakai last week. I'm like, you've got so many guys that can speak multiple languages. Do they ever, when they're frustrated with the ref, do they ever express it in multiple languages? He said he's never really heard you, but he says Santi does some.
Yeah, and Uros, but not
he's
really.
Uros just says it in English.
Yeah, Uros says it in English. Uros is just here because he be on the phone a lot, and then Santi would do it. Santi would change languages in game. Yeah, he would do that definitely. Santi would be the main one.
So do you never break out a little Finnish during the game?
Well, I have like a word that I'll say, and then that's it. It will be really quick, so people might not catch it.
Sure.
And sometimes I'll just clap my hands and say it, so then you definitely won't catch it. But that would be I don't really, not a lot. I don't be talking to the refs. I try not to talk to the refs in English. I just try not to talk to them a lot.
All right, let's flip it back to your game. Where do you feel like your game has grown? I mean, I think every Tennessee fan is seeing you start to shoot the ball more and more from the outside and shoot it confidently from the outside, knocking down big threes. You had some big shots the other night at Arizona. But where do you feel like your game's grown the most from when you got here to now?
Well, I think for me the most is just my basketball IQ, really. Like I kind of feel like I've always been a good finisher, okay shooter. I've definitely become a better shooter, a better finisher. But I think the most is just my IQ, especially with our offense. Just learning to fit in to a system has just raised my IQ a lot. I feel like I'm now knowing where to get the ball, knowing what moves I like, where I like them, knowing if I'm on my spot for a shot or just I'm still learning it, but I feel like I've gotten so much better at just knowing where to be, knowing what cuts in the offense are the best ones for me, and knowing how to set screens better, knowing how to, pass. I've gotten lower on my passes. I feel like just experience has made me so much better, and IQ is the only way I can really explain it.
You look at Grant Williams, who was here when you first got here. He's making so many threes now, and in college his game was predominantly down low. Now he could step out there and make shots, especially the mid-range game. But now, he's almost a straight three-point shooter in the league. How much of you growing your game is for that purpose, to kind of show the next level, hey, I'm not just a guy that can play on the block. I can step out and knock down open shots at my size.
It's definitely important to show that you're able to, but you also got to know, like I feel like NBA scouts know what they're looking at, so they'll find out if you can shoot or not, and then they'll recognize on your team if you need to shoot or not, and I feel like that's a very big part of how you need to play, because if you're shooting the ball just to trying to prove that you can shoot and it's not helping your team, you're not doing anything for yourself. Like the scouts most likely just gonna swipe that by. So yeah, you want to show them you can shoot, but you also want to show them that you have the IQ. Like I got guys like Santi and Tyreek, with Joe comes back, Z, that can really shoot the ball. So for me, yeah, I want to show them I can shoot, but I want to show them everything else that I can do. Then if I need to shoot more up there, like they'll know I can shoot. They'll ask people. They'll go look back like, okay, when he was taking one or two, but he was making one or two. So yeah, I want to show them, but I don't want to force feed that.
Next week, you dip into conference play for the first time this year, going to Ole Miss. How much do you enjoy conference games versus non-conference games? Because, a lot of, sometimes you played a non-conference team a couple of times during your career, but you've played all those kids at Ole Miss and Auburn and Kentucky multiple times. So do you enjoy the whole kind of like, I get to play this guy again?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys and a lot of teams that we've now played multiple times, and I do actually enjoy that. I always think back to last year, but for me, a little bit extra motivation on some of those teams I didn't get to play last year, because it's super dope to get to play against guys that I know. But it was a couple games that I wished I played in last year that now I'm going to get to play in. Yeah.
Any game that you have targeted specifically? Not because, there's bad blood or anything, but just a game where you can, like, I'm going to raise my level here. I know going against this guy is going to be, a challenge, and I want that.
I'll say Ole Miss, but it's funny because it's only Ole Miss because a guy on their team dunked on me pretty bad my sophomore year. And last year we played them, I didn't have no dunks. Luckily, Ole Miss is our next game, and we go in there. So I want to have a dunk, hopefully on somebody, but I want to have a dunk because, yeah, I remember that very vividly. And it was over there, too, actually.
The Arizona game was your all's first true road game of the year. Everything else has been kind of neutral side or at home. How much did you learn about your team, even in a loss against Arizona?
A lot, especially we were in film today, just a lot. And even personally looking at it and talking to all the guys on the team, just first, like, we're fighters. I feel like we all competed and we tried to do the right things. It's just we made mistakes that we can't make, especially in an away game. And that's all that we can focus on. We can just focus on making ourselves better, fixing our mistakes, and coming back and bouncing back. But we learned a lot. Like, we realized we can do it. Like, we went in there, and the pressure didn't break us. We broke down ourselves, but the pressure didn't break us. It's not like we were letting the crowd get to us and fumbling the ball. And, we were making plays. We were taking shots. Yeah, we had some breakdowns, but those were on us. It was not like we were startled. We just didn't execute what we needed to execute. The credit to those guys. They played really hard, and they did execute when they needed to execute when we didn't. So that's...
Take yourself out and then take Josiah out because you just don't know what's going to be up with the knee the rest of the way. Who is the key for this team? Who will determine what you all do? One player.
I think it's interesting because it's one guy, but there's a couple guys that can take that spot. And it's really between Uros, now starting to be Tobey and Jonas. Because if one of those guys steps up, and it can be any three of them, all three of them.
So you're saying the 5 spot's the key?
I think a big part in that, and then if I had to, because I feel like it's for both ends of the court, and then if I had to say, if Z keeps doing what he's doing and keeps going the way he's going, it's going to be big for us.
How different has he been since Colorado?
He's just been getting better every day with his passes, with knowing how to get to the spots that coach wants him to get to, that ultimately are the spots he needs to get to as a point guard in our offense, and it's been making the game easier for us, for everybody. So if he keeps getting better, that'll be very, very big.
Most underrated part of your game is what?
My passing.
Favorite pass? Backdoor cut? What are we talking?
I came alive for the recent memory that was at shoot-around or practice when we were at Arizona. We had drawn a drill drawn a play that was actually for Tubelis because we were doing scout team. He's supposed to drive left and then just see what he can create with one guy in the corner, either coming off a handoff, back cutting, or just giving him space to drive. So we did the play, and I drove left. I took another dribble. He came up, back cut, and I passed it with my left hand. And I liked that pass because it was with my left, and it was to a back cut, and he made the layup.
I hear you like chess.
Yes, I do.
Talk to me about, where that love comes from. I mean, everybody always chess over checkers, but I mean, like, where did that come from?
My grandpa. Thinking back, it definitely came from my grandpa. And then going to our grandparents' house, he just had a chessboard, and I'll play him. We'll play each other. Then I'll play with my brother. He wouldn't really want to play that much. And then later, I played with my stepdad a lot. He liked to play. He was really good. And my grandpa was really good, too. I couldn't really beat him. I think I beat my stepdad once when I just went back, and that was the first time I'd ever beat him. But I played with them, and then once I left, I didn't have anybody to play with for a long time because, you could always play phone chess, but I don't really like it because you can cut your phone off and then just do something else and then come back to the chess. So for me, I can't do that. My attention will be like half there. But if I'm in person, like sitting like this, I love to play chess. And I was living with VJ last year, my roommate, who I asked, like, have you ever played chess? He was like, no. I'm like, would you be down to learn or want to play? And he was like, sure. And we got a chessboard and we started playing, and I was beating him to begin with, but obviously because I had been playing. But he started getting better, so we started playing more. It was one day we were actually at the mall in Nashville because we had made a trip to Nashville I think it was around Easter. But we were at the mall, and we saw, like, those chess pieces on a chessboard that was, like, big. So we just stopped and played a game. And then a bunch of people were, like, walking by. Some of them were asking to get pictures, and some of them were just asking, like, what are you guys doing? And we're playing chess. Like, we weren't doing anything out of, like, really thinking about it too much, but we were actually playing a chess game at the mall for no real reason.
Does the strategy transfer to basketball? And does it help your anticipation?
Chess?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Too deep on that one, huh?
No, I feel like it's just I don't play chess with like a clock or anything, so I just be taking my time. So for me, it doesn't. For some people probably because they probably think fast, they read it, but I don't. And then when I play basketball, it's like everything is.
Growing up in Finland, what's one thing most people don't know about you as far as like, was there a particular TV show you watched growing up? Was there, a particular, tradition you had every year with any particular thing?
Off the top of my head, I think I love saunas. People probably wouldn't assume that I love saunas. People probably don't even, I don't know, like, it's not a lot of places I've been here where there are saunas, hotels, otherwise. There was a sauna in Arizona, which didn't have a chance to use it. But not a lot of places. I love saunas.
Why is that?
I just have great memories of being at the lake at my cottage, like summer cottage back home, and we would go in the sauna and then run into the river. Or then if we'd be in my grandparents' house, we would run in the sauna and then run into the snow and then run back into the sauna.
Steam.
Yeah. Steam saunas at all the swim places, but not at my grandparents' house, just old school, put some wood under the rocks.
How many players on this team would use the word cottage?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just a word you don't hear used a lot. It's more of like an old school term or a European term. I don't, most people would say cabin here.
Yeah, but I feel like cabins are like in the woods. Like ours is kind of in the woods, but it's by the lake. I don't know why, if that makes any difference.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes. I just feel like, I don't know why, but when I imagine cabin, I think like a cabin in the woods.
Favorite country in Europe not named Finland?
Probably Greece, and I don't think I've never been either.
Well, how can it be your favorite if you've never been?
Because I want to go so bad.
Where all have you been?
England, Sweden, Estonia, Germany, Lithuania.
Norway?
I don't know if I've been to Norway. Belgium. Croatia. Croatia's nice. Croatia might be my favorite. Now that I'm looking back. Yeah, those. I don't remember if I've been to many, but maybe I've like stopped by on flights, but that doesn't really count.
Best place you've been in the United States?
Does the Bahamas count?
No, we're not going to let that count.
For what? For living or
Just for anything. It can be just basketball. It can be living. It can be basketball.
Vegas, especially if I had a lot more money. that would be bad.
Everybody enjoys Vegas. Which NBA player do you try to model your game after?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. I used to love watching Giannis play, but it's hard to model yourself after Giannis. It was a time I loved watching Paul George play, but that's kind of also very tough. Those guys do some things that you need a lot of time and practice to be able to do, especially well. Giannis is just strong and too big to. I'm not that big. Like, I'm big, but the difference is real.
Do you watch a lot of old school NBA? I love asking the basketball players this because I want to see do you ever just turn on old clips and watch Larry Bird, Magic Johnson?
I was about to ask you, like, what
Clyde
counts as old
Drexler?
school?
Well, I mean, for you guys, old school would be Larry Bird and.
Does Kobe count? Kobe not old school, right?
I mean, no, he's.
What about Shaq? Does Shaq count as old school or Jordan?
Jordan, yes. Shaq,
not really,
kind of in that fringe.
So it's like it has to be from basically before you were born.
Let's go 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Which, Shaq played in the 90s. So did Kobe. But, they were super young.
Yeah. A little bit, but not that much. I watched Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
I think Vince played back then a little bit, but really I watched Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. I've watched some Bird highlights, but I can't say that I've watched many. I've watched some Ben Wallace highlights, but I feel like that's not from way back then. That's not. Oh, Hakeem. I watched a lot of
Hakeem, there you go.
But that's really it. There's not that many players that I personally. But games, I've seen some games from. No, I think that's just some Laker games I can think of, and some Laker Boston games. Not a lot.
Best basketball nickname.
I like the answer. I think that's dope. I think that's really dope.
Yep, I don't disagree with that. I like that. Also like, as you just referenced him, Hakeem Olajuwon, the Dream.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do rapid fire. You ready?
Yeah.
1-word answers. What team do you most want to beat this season?
Alabama was the first one that came to my mind.
Who made your Spotify rap this year?
Tory Lanez.
What do you miss most about Finland?
Rice porridge right now.
Which word in Finnish do you say most in a game? We don't want them doing the dictionary. Biggest culture shock coming here is what?
Free refills.
You like that, huh?
I did. It was dangerous.
Favorite UT tradition?
I like the fact that the football runs to the T. I think that's probably dope. I think that's the dopest thing they do here.
If you could play anywhere when you graduate, where would you play? NBA, Corsalinga?
That's messed up. NBA.
Saturday night in the off season, what are you doing?
Just chilling with my friends. Maybe we go out. Maybe we stay in. Depends on like a group decision.
One thing you always keep in your fridge, your must-have snack or beverage.
Orange juice.
Pulp or no pulp?
Light pulp.
Light pulp. My father-in-law is a heavy pulp guy. I'm like, I don't even know. I was like,
That's
just choking it down.
most of the time, probably no pulp, but sometimes I need light pulp.
When your time is done at Tennessee, when your time is done with basketball, no matter how long you play, what do you want to do after basketball's over?
Honestly, I've been thinking about trying to either get into coaching or then trying to do something on the media side of things. Just, with hopefully if I have a good image, I'll use that to, either podcasts like this or any kind of. I'm studying to be in public relations right now, so I was just hoping that I could join the media world or either in front or behind the camera. But yeah, one of those, public relations or then coaching.
Sports information department? You'll take Tom's job?
I don't know about that. I heard about how
big shoes to fill.
It's a lot. It's not my style.
Better shoe game, you or Tom?
I think I might, but I haven't really paid attention to Tom's shoes, and now you're making me want to.
Tom's got a strong shoe game. He's also a big Peter Millar guy.
Now I feel like I'd have to get back to you on that after I find out. Like I have to start paying attention now. That's interesting.
Let's hope he brings it this week.
I know, right?
Let's hope, yeah.
SEC, I bet he will bring it, especially if he really has shoe game. We're going to find out.
Well, man, we appreciate the time. And I think this has been a good kind of get to know you. I think a lot of, I joked with you, I never heard your voice, until I started preparing for this and started watching interviews. And so kind of getting to know you and understand where you come from and all that's involved. I think this gives Tennessee fans a great chance to kind of, peel back the onion a little bit and kind of find out a little bit about you.
Appreciate that. It's been great to be here.
All right, that's the latest Fall Club Confidential, Episode 8. This guy, ready for a big SEC season, which starts next week against Ole Miss. Merry Christmas, everybody.